The contributions of Latinos to the development and success of America are woven into almost every segment of the nation's history. To envision America untouched by Latinos is to imagine a country without much of its folklore and many of its achievements. Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15th through October 15th, is celebrated each year to observe the Latino contribution. It reminds us that America's cultural diversity and the contributions of all its citizens have made America's fabric strong throughout its history. The United States has a rich history that goes back 218 years. Hispanics have always played major roles in building this country and making it a better place. From the Revolutionary War that freed the U.S. from England to the Persian Gulf War, Latinos have proudly served this country in the armed forces. And throughout our history, Latinos have prominently participated in building the West. In medicine and science, in entertainment, business, education, civil rights, and politics, and in the great American pastime of baseball. Before 1848, prior to the final formation of what is now known as the United States of America, Latinos lived on the lands of Arizona, New Mexico, California, and Colorado. The U.S. border crossed them, so many Latinos trace their ancestors back to what was then Mexico. Latinos have always been a vital force in building this nation. One of their most significant contributions to the growth of our agricultural system was the creation of the Bracero program, August 4, 1942, in which more than 4 million Mexican farm laborers came to work the fields. The Braceros converted the agricultural fields of America into the most productive in the world. As the new nation expanded across the continent, pioneers sought both homes and wealth. The West seemed rich in metals and ores, but the settlers knew little about how to mine them. When gold and other valuable metals were discovered in California and other states, many prospectors knew what they had, but had no idea how to get it out of the ground. To do so, they borrowed mining techniques from Mexico, Peru, and Chile. In a popular California mining legend, James Marshall, upon discovering gold, proclaimed the news yelling, "Gold! Gold!" What he really said was chispa, Spanish for bright speck. The end of the Civil War marked the start of a mass migration of people into the Western territories. While settling the frontier, people realized that the farmland differed from the land in the East. Irrigation and water supply became far more important to frontier settlers than they had been back east. Managing the water supply was an art the settlers learned from the Mexicans, who learned it from the Pueblo Indians. Early songs and legends of the Old West featured an Americanized version of the vaqueros, cowboys, from Mexico. Thus, the enduring legend of the cowboy came almost entirely from the Hispanic culture. The music, folklore, art, and architecture of Latinos were widely adopted in this country. The architecture is particularly well suited to the climate and land in the Southwest. And mural art from the early Southwest still inspires contemporary artists. As they did in the Revolutionary War, Hispanics have served proudly in each war and conflict entered by this nation. In the course of service, 38 Latinos have been awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, the highest honor conferred for military bravery. In the Civil War, David Glasgow Farragut, son of Jorge Farragut, won fame as a Union hero by blocking Southern ports, prompting Congress to create the title of Rear Admiral to reward him for his valor. Federico Fernandez Cavada, a lieutenant colonel for the Union, fought bravely at Gettysburg, and Rafael Chacon also served with the Union and earned the rank of major. Santos Benavides fought for the Confederacy. His rank of colonel was the highest of any Mexican-American Army officer in the Civil War. More than 400,000 Hispanics served the U.S. during World War II, and about 25,000 served in the Persian Gulf War. Latinos have contributed much to the fields of medicine and science. In New York in 1959, Dr. Severo Ochoa won the Nobel Prize in Medicine and Physiology for his discovery of RNA, ribonucleic acid, one of the chemical building blocks of life. In 1986, Costa Rican-born Dr. Franklin Chan Diaz became the first Hispanic astronaut, followed by astronaut Sidney Gutierrez from New Mexico. In 1993, Dr. Ellen Ochoa became the first Latina in space. At the birth of the movie industry, Hispanic actresses like Myrtle Gonzalez and Beatriz Michelena were some of the most popular draws in silent films. Hispanic stars in the 1920s and 1930s included Dolores del Rio, Lupe Velez, and Ramon Novarro. The decades of the 40s, 50s, and 60s headlined stars like Rita Hayworth, Fernando Lamas, Anthony Quinn, and Rita Moreno, the only artist to win all 4 major industry awards, the Oscar, Emmy, Tony, and Grammy. In the 1950s, Desi Arnaz, the famed Cuban band leader, embarked on an adventure of creating his own television production studio. He introduced the 3-camera technique, now the staple of the industry, for shooting a TV situation comedy. Arnaz was also the first to use film to preserve TV shows for reruns. The I Love Lucy series he produced remains one of the most loved and watched series of all times. Today, Latino stars include Martin Sheen and his sons Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez, Andy Garcia, Gael Garcia Bernal, America Ferrera, Edward James Olmos, and Jimmy Smits. Latinos have long contributed to sports in this nation. In 1871, Esteban Bayan was the first Latino to play Major League Baseball. Roberto Clemente, one of baseball's greatest legends, is remembered as much for his humanitarian efforts as he is for his athletic ability. Great Latino names in professional golf include Lee Trevino, Chichi Rodriguez, and Nancy Lopez. Tom Flores is well respected as a professional football coach. There are now many Latinas on the professional tennis circuit. The first Latino to serve in Congress, Joseph Marion Hernandez, was elected in 1822 as a delegate to the U.S. Congress from Florida. Octaviano A. Larrazolo, who served in 1928, was the first Hispanic U.S. Senator. There are 13.7 million eligible Hispanic voters and 5,170 Hispanic elected officials, 1,554 women, including 156 state legislators and 20 members of the U.S. House of Representatives. 2 members of President Bill Clinton's cabinet at the level of secretary were Hispanic. Outside of the political arena, Cesar Chavez, 1927 to 1993, founder of the United Farm Workers Union, led the fight to gain recognition for the workers who harvest this nation's produce. Under his leadership, farm workers successfully negotiated labor contracts with growers for the first time. Cesar Chavez received the Presidential Freedom Award posthumously from President Bill Clinton in 1994. Latino contributions to the growth and development of the United States have been many. As this nation looks forward to the 21st century, Latinos will continue to play a major role in meeting the challenges ahead. Most Latinos go way back in history beyond the formation of what is now the United States of America to the pre-colonized civilizations of the Mayan, Aztecs, Toltecs, and Incas. All were self-sufficient, flourishing civilizations, each known for its own areas of expertise. The Mayan astrologers knew the exact movements of all the stars and planets, predicting summer solstices and eclipses with total accuracy and building observatories over 1,000 years before Europe. Mayan and Aztec scribes are credited with an incredibly complicated writing system, which we have not totally deciphered to this day. The Incan king Pachacuti expanded his nation's boundaries through diplomacy more than war. He is credited with the amazing Machu Picchu, an almost entirely earthquake-proof development whose altitude is so high that many who visit to this day faint. Moctezuma I, father of Moctezuma II, the emperor who met Cortez, led the Aztecs to the heights of their power, completing his father and grandfather's architectural projects such as the pyramids and hugely supporting the arts. Cuauhtémoc led the Aztecs' war against the Spanish, and even after the total destruction of the city with millions dead, strongly encouraged the Mexican people to never forget their history. These are merely a few examples of the rich accomplishments that Latinos and their ancestors have contributed to society and the world. It is our hope that this book will inspire a new generation to dig deeper into its history and to aspire to achieve its own dreams.